Please join me in welcoming Thomas Cray to Nazareth College.
To say that I'm honored to be your speaker today would be an enormous understatement. And since there is nothing about this day that should be understated, let me begin by telling you how humbling it is to be among you. I did not accept the invitation to be here today because I felt qualified to impart any particular wisdom to you. After all, it is your wisdom that has brought us together. Rather, I accepted the invitation with great pride because I recognize that you were already prepared to make a tremendous impact on the world. I'm simply here to let you know that I believe in you. Even though this gathering suggests that you are all here to share the same beginning, your journeys will surely be as unique as you are individuals. It is the journey that I want to talk about today, and more specifically, that part of the journey that resonates with an individual as they move through their lives and into their future. There have been many trials in my life. At age 5, I took on a moving vehicle, and that vehicle won. At age 9, I took on a stationary plumbing truck, and the truck won. At age 17, I was a mere 97 pounds and 5 feet tall, and my sister observed that I was the perfect size for shoving into a commercial clothes dryer. My sister won. However, she's been paying the price ever since. None of these trials, of course, were severe, but I've had 3 experiences that I believe qualify. The first occurred when I was 13. It was in April 1963, the day before Easter Sunday. Toward the end of that fine day, we decided to have a cookout, and I wanted the privilege of starting the fire in the grill. And after a few moments, I noticed that the flames were not spreading. Add more gasoline, I thought. In my attempt to add more fuel to the fire in the true sense, I caused the flames that were already burning the charcoal to touch off the fumes in the can, and the can exploded, sending fuel and flames onto my body. The challenge was to overcome first, second, and third degree burns, 55 blood transfusions, and 9 skin graft operations during my 4-month stay at the hospital. The doctors told my parents that I would probably never walk again. It took a rubber ball, a set of steps, constant falling, crawling, tears, anger, and learning to stand to walk again. But I stand before you today. Thank you. Fast forward to 1969, and 10 days after graduating from high school, I was off to boot camp and then to Vietnam, unaware that there I would face my second crucible. John Marsh, Bernie Olson, Ronnie Bevins, and Jim Everett. They were my friends. John was the only one who died in combat, suffering fatal wounds from a hand grenade. Bernie committed suicide, leaving behind a note. I forgive all those concerned. May God forgive me. He also left behind a wife and 4 children. Ronnie died during an ammunition replenishment operation because of a snap in a 3-inch nylon line. It sounded like a damn cannon. It recoiled and struck him in the face, and he bled to death. Ronnie was doing me the favor of tending that line. And Jim, well, I found Jim in the ammunition turret of a gun mount, his young life wiped out because of a drug overdose. I knew he had to have it. I never reported it. While Bernie, Ronnie, and Jim did not die as a direct result of combat action, the moral, emotional, and mental pain that I endured from losing them was not any less than that which I felt and harbored from the loss of John. My second tour to Vietnam was the beginning of the end for me. My 3rd severe trial, and truly my defining crucible. On the completion of a firing mission in the Quang Tri province that had started in mid-afternoon and lasted into the early evening, My first lieutenant took the liberty of congratulating my gun crew for conducting a great firing mission. He wanted us to know and to be proud of the fact that we had leveled an orphanage. Not one member of my team said a word, but rather we stared at each other in complete disbelief. It became my personal tragedy and my turning point in the meaning of war from me personally. I learned with stark reality something about life and death, something about a human being's capacity for selfless love and absolute evil. I was naive and yet wise, sentimental and yet bitter, frightened and yet boastful, noble and yet ordinary, uninformed, vulnerable, and away from home for the first time, waiting but not knowing. Some of my friends who had traveled over there before me had not returned alive. I wonder even now, what would it be like to hear their voices again? What would they want me to live my life as? Would they want me to be reminded of what they thought and how they sounded? Would they have me believe they gave no less than their ancestors at Gettysburg and Normandy and Iwo Jima? Who knows what they would have accomplished, the families they may have had, the lives they may have led. Perhaps it is their sacrifice that has at times made me more thoughtful, more fully human, more able to give to others and to this nation. Perhaps they did not die in vain. Thinking back now to that moment, my crucible, I would have wanted the first lieutenant to be more humble, more ashamed of our actions, and perhaps more cognizant of and concerned with our feelings. Like many of you, I began contemplating my future as a young man. I pursued various jobs, relationships, and ultimately began my own family. It often seemed as though life was coming at me full speed to the extent that I wondered, how could I possibly ever keep up? All those years ago, I never imagined that I would begin Veterans Outreach Center. I could not have known back then that I would end up here today. And yet, as I began to work with veterans, I felt connected to this endeavor. It compelled me to become more involved. It is more than my life's work. It is indeed my passion. It was this frightening, risky, yet powerfully compelling dream that was the impetus behind my desire to begin Veterans Outreach Center 36 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today a leader in that effort, not because of my severe trials, but because of the manner in which I responded to those trials. Inasmuch as I have responded to that challenge, and inasmuch as I truly am humbled to be among you today, it is with great confidence and tremendous pride that I look forward to a positive future that now lies in your hands. I'm looking at a room full of leaders. Your presence here today is testament to your successful approach to the challenges that you faced that brought you to seek higher education. For a few of you, the challenge perhaps was itself severe. For many others, your crucible still awaits. On this commencement day, a day of beginnings, I congratulate you for the accomplishments you've achieved and for those yet to come. And please always remember this: you are the possibility. Thank you.